Hi, this is Kathleen Eaton, and this is part 6 of the video series Spiritual Disciplines. If you're wondering why I keep glancing to the right, it's because that's where I've got my notes, and if I don't stick with them, I'm going to go way off track. So please forgive me that I'm not always looking directly into the camera. In part 4 of this series on spiritual disciplines, we're discussing the Egyptian method of contemplation and visualization as it relates to joining with a pagan deity in the attempt to show that pagan practices were blended into Christian forms of worship. I want to remind you that this Egyptian joining or unity with their gods was a fusion of the soul and the personality, or a fusion with the spirit or deity that they were seeking. And the Bible defines those deities as being demons. Therefore, what this is basically a form of spirit possession. In the Egyptian form of visualization, a person enters into a scene that they imagine in their minds. They picture or visualize then gods and goddesses. They speak to these gods and goddesses, and then they receive guidance, teaching, and wisdom from them. They're contacting real spirit beings here through these practices. Now, as the participants progress in these practices, the spirits begin to produce not only feelings of love, peace, warmth, energies, manifestations of light, but also supernatural, miraculous events. For those who doubt that there are actual spirit entities, please remember the Bible teaches that the pagan gods and goddesses are demons. Demons are known to be able to communicate through dreams and visions as well. Now, if you think about the fact that they communicate through the mind, through images and so forth, that they can communicate in dreams and visions as well, then it makes sense that if you go into this altered state of consciousness, which shamans did this, they called it lucid dreaming, where they stayed alert and awake, and they would look within themselves until they began to see images, and eventually they would end up contacting their gods, which were demons. Anyway, people are taught, actually I'm going to back up just a little bit. What I was trying to get at here is that the Bible says that what was introduced by the pagans into the church were the teachings of demons. So therefore, the practices that they used to contact their gods were real contact with these evil spirits. People, now this is just a speculation, okay? Don't take it as written in stone. I have not completely thought this through yet, and I am not convinced of it. But it occurs to me, people are taught that demons can't read their minds, and the reason I thought of this was because of something I read in the writings of John Cassian. I'm thinking about it this way. We are spirit beings that live in bodies. When we speak inside of ourselves, internally, we are speaking from our spirit. Now, spirit beings can hear other spirit beings. They don't listen with the ears like we do. And I've had experiences in my own life that give me the impression that it is possible for them to hear my thoughts, though I'm not going to say, again, that I haven't made up my mind, honestly. When spirits speak to us, and I've heard them at other times, not when I'm sleeping or anything like that, and it's a very rare occurrence for me, but it has happened on a few occasions. We hear them in our thoughts. Actually, I shouldn't even say it's that rare, because a lot of times what people believe are their own thoughts are the whispering of Satan and his demons. It is possible to hear inaudible voices, but that's much more rare. Now, the teaching that spirits can't hear us when we speak in our spirits comes from Egyptian monk that taught John Cassian. The monk told him they read our body language, but that it's not enough to explain what happened to me, and what has likely happened to countless others. Where in the Bible does it teach the spirits can't hear us when we speak from or in our spirits? It doesn't. It doesn't address that. God is a spirit and he hears us. So why do we assume that evil spirits can't? Now again, I'm not saying that that's absolute. I haven't really made up my mind about it. I'm still praying over it and thinking it through. But regardless, this should not hinder our prayers any more than it hinders our speech in daily life. God is greater than any demon, and as Lord of Lords, he determines what they are and are not allowed to do. Furthermore, the Bible teaches us that when a person is deceived, a Christian person is deceived, God allows it. When a person is deceived, he says he's the one that allowed that deception. God's not evil in doing this. He basically allows it for those who do not love the knowledge of the truth as found in his word. He allows them to fall into deception and error. If we truly love him and we love his truth, we will want to live and think in line with what God says, not in line with the errors of the wicked. When this is our heart's desire and we walk in obedience to God, clinging to him and to his words in our lives and in prayer, and he will continually lead and guide us into truth. But we do need to pray against these deceptions and not assume that as individuals we cannot be deceived, especially like if you think, well, I'm a Christian and I'm one of the elect, therefore I can't be deceived. Well, God knows our hearts, and he says that they're wicked and deceitful above all things. Who can know it? Who can know the heart other than God? While the heart that is true to God will continue, he will continue to lead into truth. We still need to guard against deception, really realizing that the flesh opposes the Spirit of God and that demons are out there trying to lead us astray. It's by the restoration of our minds and hearts that we are made more like him. But in this process, there are times when we may be weak in our understanding and be led into error. So don't take it to mean that you have to be like guarding your thoughts to the point where you can't freely speak to God or anything like that. And don't take it to mean also that you cannot be deceived just because you're a Christian. Anyways, back to the, sorry for the digression. I'm going to go back onto the track of these contemplative issues. Traditionally, these contemplative practices have been used by pagans to contact spiritual entities the Bible defines as Satan and his fallen angels. It's by contacting these demons in this way that pagans obtain powers to perform supernatural works. They're the same practices used by the Egyptians of Pharaoh's court to turn their sticks into snake and to turn their sticks into snakes and to turn water into blood. Now, Moses did not operate in the same power, nor did he use their practices. While he did grow up in the Egyptian courts and had an Egyptian education, we also know from the scriptures, as I said earlier, that he was taught, especially in his formative years, by his Hebrew mother. He knew about the truths of God and the teachings that have been passed down from Abraham. And since Moses gave us the laws of God, the same ones that tell us not to engage in pagan religious practices, it's clear that he was taught by God to not become involved in them himself. Teaching that indicates that Moses used the same practices as the Egyptians are pagan deceptions designed to confuse us and lead us further into deception. So I'm going to go a bit more into information. Now we're going to see how the teachings of the visualization as a form of contacting gods in the Egyptian mystery schools through contemplation and visualization was brought into the church. We've already had these practices brought into the church, but this is the first example that I've found of the visualization aspect of it. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how that came into the Christian church in the next segment. So I hope you join me for part 7 of this video.